why we organize Hackathon, why we decided to go for it, it's a really good question. Actually, I had that idea before I even started working here. I always wanted to run a hackathon, and even more I wanted to run it at Abbey Road Studios. It's such an amazing space. They never had one before. It's such a cool thing to actually run it. But also it's a part of a wider strategy for Abbey Road. We are, for quite some time, we're trying to be more accessible, more open-minded as well, and trying to kind of reposition the brand to make sure that everybody in the whole world is aware of our innovation strategy and is aware of everything they can have from Abbey Road. There's plenty of things, plenty of knowledge here. It seems to be quite closed in, so we're just doing everything to share it. And tonight, well, last night, that was just an amazing opportunity to share parts of it.
Mm-hmm. And from our perspective, as we were working with Abbey Road before, it was a great challenge and great adventure for us, and we've seen that there is a lot of good ideas and challenging ideas in the music industry, and that's why we wanted to also see how the rest of the people are behaving and how they are seeing the music industry, and we are seeing the huge potential in this.
We were, from our perspective, we were kind of trying to think how the music will be made in a few years from now, 5-10 years from now, and how we as a studio have to change in order to accommodate that. What do we need to do? You know, like, we can't be the same because we won't survive. And from our perspective, it was great because we thought, okay, we need to definitely know we don't have software house in here, in-house. We need to partner with someone who has got technical ability to support kind of and mentor our participants. But also what we wanted to do, we wanted everyone to really think about musicians as users, and we really wanted people to think about UX. And from our perspective, from our previous work, where the UX is the main thing which connects us and the common understanding of what that needs, Miquido was a perfect partner for us. We actually knew that this is going to work, that we're going to have a partner who will be able to explain to participants what this is about, treat your musicians exactly as we treat any other user, just understand them in their own way, understand their workflow, and make sure that you accommodate their needs. And
glad to hear. Thanks for that. You've mentioned, by the way, that you want to see how the music will be developed in the future years. I have also spoken with some of the people. Do you have a feeling that for example, we'll have an answer today? Because some of the ideas are quite crazy.
They are
quite crazy.
And what I really like is the fact that there's lots of talk in the industry about AI and technology, advanced technologies, and how it's being seen as those scary kind of opportunities, those scary challenges that it's going to somehow replace creativity in humans, which is exactly the opposite. And that's what we're seeing here today. We're seeing plenty of teams, and we don't want to unveil it yet, but we've seen already plenty of teams who are treating all sorts of different AI APIs and different really high level technologies in order, kind of like tools or like jamming partners. There's plenty of solutions where there's fun interacting with an algorithm, and that just works towards your creativity. It doesn't replace it. It just make it kind of it just makes it easier for you, or just more fun for you. So I think there will be. I'm hoping that this is the answer which we're gonna get. So rather than sort of being scared of it and being afraid of it and sort of seeing the dark side of it, all of us will believe that actually this is a good thing. This can work with us. The technologies can be assisted. It's only the tools. The tools are changing, but we are still the ones responsible for the creation.
Yeah, I have I'm the same feelings as you, and I believe that based on what I've seen here, that's the direction.
It's great to see that.
Yep.
It's great to see that in all those super talented people.
Yeah, and even with these tools, I believe that some of the people don't know how it will develop in terms of the tools, and they're just trying to figure it out. and that's also a good part for the rest of the musicians, because when you have these tools, you can utilize them in a way
which
you
is
want.
unexpected.
That's a good thing.
Which is what we want as well. And there are some people who wanted to do one thing and then suddenly they achieved something completely different, and it was like a happy accident, and they followed that route, and now they're doing that. So that's what we after. Just have fun with it, basically.
Yeah, and I was really surprised by the moon thing, the moon bouncing. So generally, because you may not know, there will be 2 sessions in which the participants will be able to send their voice to the moon and hear it back after it's bounced back. Yeah. So as far as I heard, it's a completely different sound. So
it is completely different sound. It's distorted
really
because
interested.
the surface of the moon is it's not smooth, and of course there's delay element to it. So we'll see how that works around 3 p.m. today, because also it has to be done at a very particular point, because there is a satellite which is in our way to do that. So it's so cool. And what we're trying to do, we're trying to sort of sample some of Abbey Road and send that to the moon. So we're basically going to send the sound of the hackathon to the moon.
I really hope that at some point there will be a good way for musicians to describe their music, also how it was made, because the more and more this kind of tools will have, it would be kind of cool to understand how the process looked like, because having and listening to a track is a fun thing, but another thing is that it's interesting to know that, for example, one sample was sent to the moon and back, and if you are using that kind of stuff, it's really good to share it with people around you.
It's kind of we had a great example last night. You might have seen that on live stream. There was an artist called Graham Dunning around 10 p.m. at night doing a mechanical techno set, and what he was doing, he was cutting the vinyl. At some point he had a whole stash of them. He was actually cutting the shapes in it and putting them sort of one on top of another, and then he had a needle going around it like a proper deck, but kind of created deck as well. That was running, and then on a station on the laptop next to it, he was actually writing coding live. We could see his code behind him, being projected behind him. We could see how he's changing the sound, how he's slowing it down, making it faster, sampling, moving it around, cutting it, and doing all sorts of things with it. And it was a great mechanical techno set. So this is exactly what you are talking about, that you have to see it in order to understand it. You have to understand the process behind it, because if you just heard his set, you'd think, oh, great, techno set, amazing, I can have fun with it. But if you've seen what was happening in front of your eyes, it was actually happening live, real time. He was so in it, he meant to play for like 20 minutes, and then I think he went for like 45 minutes, and we were like, we can't stop him now, he's in the zone, he's doing it. And it was so amazing. It was probably the first time when Studio One could see it, when all of us could see something like that, something that's happening in front of our eyes. And our experience was so much richer, mainly because we understood the process behind it, or some parts of the process behind it, we could actually experience it. So I totally agree with you. You have to have that context.
And I believe that it may change how we are experiencing the on stage thing, because and concerts, because nowadays it's like a typical people are just playing music. And what I can see that more and more artists are just giving these additional touches to the music they are doing, and there is a lot of interesting things going on the stage, and it may be a new era of live performances.
Definitely. So because the way the industry is changing, the live performances have got sort of a high value to the artist, and that's a real engagement. And you're absolutely right. They're all trying to add additional touch points and also make their performance kind of technologically interested. I'm also, the other thing which I'm seeing is kind of more and more towards somehow involving the audience into the process, into the creative process, maybe even live, if that's possible. And there is actually a team working here on some sort of example of that. They were kind of working on the basis that the audience can kind of cut the track and take bits which they don't like out kind of live and kind of, you know, I think they called it sound butcher or something like that. I hope they will change the name.
Another question if it's legal to cut out some parts of music.
So they kind of they thought about that, but they thought about that interaction model, and I've seen that happening a lot. There is kind of another artist we quite often kind of see around here called Team Excel, and what he was doing, his set was kind of live sampling, recording kind of couple of sounds, and then building with a flow machine, which is AI-based machine, sampling machine, which he developed, building from just a couple of da-da-da-da sounds, building on top of it and creating like a full set in front of everybody's eyes with lots of kind of mixer things and kind of lots of touch points as well, but also live coding. So he was actually doing it as well. And now what I've seen, he kind of, because he's such a talented person, he thought about another layer of it, and he actually is developing a mobile app which allows multiple artists and audience members to create a song following his kind of workflow, but to create a song together. So everybody can submit a sample, because, you know, we all have got mobile phones, right? We all can kind of, this is a free app. We all can kind of, we all expecting that the phone is going to give us some sort of solution which is kind of fun and kind of lets us kind of enjoy our time. So this is, in his opinion, this is like a jamming app where you've got in real time, let's say up to 15 people. Each of them can contribute sound. Each of them can change the sort of the volume of that sound, and they all can collaborate together and kind of interact with each other, and you know that could be part of someone's live set as well. So sometimes it goes from live set into kind of into mobile and into audience as well.
Yeah, and I believe that because you can see it, there is a lot of hardware created by Abbey Road and Abbey Road's partners here, and this is the first step, the creation of the hardware, the creation of the idea. And in my opinion, the next step will be to move it to the more accessible devices, like mobile phones, for example. So as soon as we'll have the idea and what we want to achieve, then we'll be able to just move it into mobile as quick as possible.
And this is what we've done as well together. A few almost years back now, we developed a Topline app, a very first mobile app from Abbey Road, exactly with the same sort of mindset. We've got lots of equipment here. We've got lots of knowledge here. We know exactly what musicians need. But how can we give that to the users, to the wider community, to people who perhaps can't get here because of geography, or just simply they're not yet at that level where they can book the studios. So we were thinking really hard about it. And at the same time, we were kind of saying, okay, we need to actually start thinking differently about this building as well. So we've opened up to smaller studios, pop and rock studios, kind of for smaller bands, more accessible price-wise, and kind of more available as well, because we never get availability ever in any other rooms. It's always busy with great sessions. So we've opened up them, we've opened up an institute, and then we said, okay, we need something more. Like, we need something which can have this global access for musicians. But what is it? What are their problems? So we talked to them, and we found out that they are so different, but they've got one thing in common. They all care about their music writing, about their ideas. Like, they all think that every single time they're recording something, and they're usually using like voice memos or something like that to record them, this is going to be next hit. This is huge. Like, I cannot forget that. I need to remember that. So on that basis, this is kind of the initial idea. We went to Miquido, which we know for a long time. We've partners for a long time. We went to them and said, like, how do we make it happen? What's the next step? This is the problem which we've got, which we found out. We think it's an app. They obviously thought it is an app, and how do we actually put it together and create a great solutions? And we did it.
Yeah, we did it, and there was a couple of ideas you had. So that's not like we just came and that there was only one idea. Let's do this. I remember that at the beginning there was a lot of discussions about how to achieve it and how to proceed.
But you're absolutely right. We had a 10 Tinder app for musicians as
Yeah.
well.
Yes.
So this is like find
I
people
still
to
hope that
collaborate.
at some point it will be
We might go
developed.
back to it, sort of like find a person to collaborate with, that by swiping, by hearing kind of what they want to show on their profile, and by swiping left or right, depending on what you want to do. Yeah, we had that. We had a few others. You're absolutely right. That was the strongest though. That was the strongest though, and we really concentrated on UX and on feedback from the actual users, aka musicians. So we had like 100 of them, and we kept sort of showing them what Miquido was presenting and talking to them and getting feedback and analyzing it and thinking, right, okay, is that a good thing? We wanted to make it very simple, very intuitive, very accessible, simplified, so everybody can use it, so it doesn't need kind of like large instructions, just sort of play and go type of thing. But at the same time, we wanted to make it Abbey Road, you know, it had to be at the same level, it had to be visually kind of connected to us, so we were showing kind of some super secretive drawings of different machines, and we were showing them to the designers from Miquido to inspire them, and they captured the sort of the spirit of the place beautifully.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the strongest points of this app, and everybody recognizes it.
Yeah, looking at this at our history, collaborating together, I really love about that how many adventures we had together. So starting from for us to coming to the Abbey Road for the first time, and for me the most surprising thing was that Abbey Road Studios. It's not a closed place. That it's not only Pink Floyd, it's Beatles, but also a lot of artists who are trying to get even to the market, and they are trying to achieve to make it, and that there is a place for everyone, and that's it's easy to be here. So that's a good thing.
That's exactly the message we want to project, that this is accessible place, and we quite often get sort of like even known artists calling us and saying like, oh, how do I get to the studios? Do you need to hear my demo for me to be my studios? Like we would judge them and they would not be allowed. No, everyone is allowed to book the studio. We're not going to tell you not to. You know, we didn't have time to book Rolling Stones because we had somebody else in the studio at that given time, perhaps less known, but that studio was already booked for them because they called before, like they managed to do that earlier. But you're absolutely right. This is for us. Both the hackathon, the Topline, and everything else we do is all about sort of showing to the world, challenging perception, and making sure that everybody knows that we are available, we are accessible, we've got plenty to share, we want to share it, and we've got great partners to help us with that.
We are glad to be a part of this, so thanks for having us.
Thank you guys.
Thanks.